Hello and welcome to the Cognizant Crone. We are on day, I don't even know what today is, 16? Day 16 of 365 days of vlogs. So today we're going to talk about something a little sensitive, but it's the kind of thing that just needs to be talked about more and more, and it's tolerance of other people. So we got a lot to unpack. This could be a long one, and there could be tangents I go off on that relate to this topic. So when I talk about tolerance of people, I'm not saying, oh, I got to put up with my mom even though she's overbearing and stuff. I'm talking about people who have differing, not even opinions, but sort of opinions, but also like different religions, different races, different skin colors, all of that kind of stuff. This is not a woke thing, okay? Like, I don't give a fuck about that, to be perfectly honest. Like, to me, I'm gonna preface this right now. As of today, as of this moment, I, Nancy Patricia Richmond, don't care if you are black, white, red, brown, purple, plaid, or polka dotted. I don't care if you're gay, if you're bi, if you're from Africa, if you're from Australia, if you're from Greenland. I don't care. I don't care if you have a penis or a vagina, okay? I just don't care. If you're a dick, I don't want to hang out with you. If you're not a dick, there's a good chance I will, okay? So let's just put that out there and put that to bed, because we're going to talk about all of this stuff, okay? I wanted to focus on religion because of something that I was talking about yesterday that sparked a memory, which is my jumping off point for today. And I forgot to finish my thought yesterday, so we'll go there today. I'm also going to link yesterday's video at the end of this one if you want to go watch that if you haven't seen it yet. But first, I must take a sip of my tea. So this is apple cinnamon spice, and I put a little bit of sweetener in it too. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. Oh yeah, and you know what? It's in my Nancy mug. Okay, so let's just talk about the path of religion right now. And there's a reason why I'm going with religion, because it's what sparked my conversation yesterday, or the thought yesterday in my conversation. I may go down the path of the other stuff, like when we get into like sexuality or race or whatever, but I want to talk religion because this is a spiritual channel. I think it's a great jumping off point. Maybe we'll touch on the other stuff another time, but so we're going to talk about religion, okay? And it's being tolerant of others. And I think about this a lot because, as I had mentioned yesterday, you'll see that if you've seen, you'll know if you've seen, actually, I think I've mentioned this in a few videos. I'm interested in learning about other people's religions outside of the one that I know that I was brought up with, right? So I was brought up Roman Catholic. I know I keep bringing stuff up over and over again, but there's a reason for that. It relates to the topic, or it's for new people who haven't heard me talk before. Okay, so hey, if you're new, welcome. So I obviously, when you are born into a family that has a religious following, okay, so, or follows a specific religion, right? So you're born into a Catholic family, or a Jewish family, or a Muslim family, or whatever, okay? You grow up looking at life through that lens from a religious / sometimes spiritual perspective. Religion and spiritual are not the same, and not all religious people are spiritual. Not all spiritual people are religious. That's a whole other topic too. Put a pin in that one for another time. But I was like, I think about this a lot from the perspective, like I said, I like learning about other people's religions. I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating. Honestly, at the end of the day, who's right and who's wrong, I don't care. It doesn't matter. To me, especially from now being more of a spiritual person versus religious, because I don't follow the religion that I was brought up with. I don't follow any religion currently. I've been researching some. The ones that I have kind of looked into, like ones that I have learned a little bit about, if I had to pick a religion, I found one. Maybe I'll disclose it at the end of the video. I'm not going to tell you now. So anyway, so you're looking at life through that religious lens, right? So this is, you take what you've been taught, you take what you've learned, you take what you know, and you take how you have been living, right, from a religious perspective, and this is how you see the world in some facets. It may not be every single avenue of life, but religion does touch on a lot of our day-to-day functioning and the important parts of life and how we go about them and view them. So whether that's marriage and relationships, whether it's having and raising children, whether it's finances and accumulation of wealth, or like being charitable, all of those kinds of things, right? Health may play into it. There's a lot of like sort of the big areas of life that can be affected by the religion that you follow. And there's no judgment there. It's just, it is what it is, right? This is who I am. Okay, cool. And we're all different because we all have different religions, right? So I think where a lot of, not all, but a lot of biases, or we'll even call them prejudices, whatever you want, right, come from that place of ignorance. And I'm not ignorant rude. My mom used to use that word like in place of rude. And being ignorant isn't necessarily rude. It's that you don't know, right? You just don't know. I'm ignorant of the ways of Muslim people, right? That religion per se. I'm just using that as an example. So there's ignorance, and when you don't know or understand something, or if you find out it's different or opposing how you think and feel, you get defensive, right? You can get defensive because there's some fear there. Oh, that's different. Oh, that's different. What are they going to do? What's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. We don't see eye to eye. We look at these things differently. That's not good. That's not good. And I mean, I'm using, and I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm trying to keep this light because it could be a heavy subject, right? But I think that from a religious perspective, that can happen and does happen quite a bit. Whereas if you flip the script, if you flip your view, right, and go at other religions, remember, I'm picking on religion, but you can throw anything, fill in the blank, whether it's sexuality, race, origin, whatever, okay? But we're going with religion. Flip it from the perspective of, I don't know about this and it's very different, and almost from a fear-based perspective to curiosity, right? This is a great lesson we can learn from children, and especially babies and toddlers. Babies and toddlers don't hate anyone. They don't know what hate is, right? You see two babies, like roly-poly little babies, toddlers sitting on the floor. They can barely walk, and they look at each other and they smile, and then they laugh and they poke each other and stuff, right? And they're just having a grand old time with their baby bedhead and stuff. They don't care about that. No teeth, maybe the two at the bottom. They don't care. Diaper full of poo, whatever, right? They're just having a grand old time with their new BFF. One's white, one's black, one's Muslim, one's Christian. They don't care. It doesn't matter. That's the lesson we as adults need to take from babies. It doesn't matter, right? So it's different. At the end of the day, here's how I look at things from a spiritual perspective. Think, be, do whatever you want in any facet of life, unless it is going to harm yourself, others, or the planet. And I include animals in there, plants and animals, right? Yeah, plant and animal kingdom. That's not saying, you can't be a meat eater, or you can't cut fresh flowers or whatever, right? I'm not saying that from a perspective of being unkind or cruel, right? Like if you have a cow that you're going to kill for meat, right? You can't be like poking it and prodding it and like beating it before you like finally kill it. Like, I know I'm being extreme, but I think you get what I mean, right? It's about trying to act from kindness and acting from a place of curiosity, right? Okay, so if I meet someone who's of a different religion, and I have some stories about this. I've touched on one. Oh, I think it was my birthday video where I was talking about a friend of mine I worked with who was Jehovah's Witness. So I learned a little bit about that religion through her. Really opened my eyes and made me understand things very, just from a different perspective. And knowing her, I'm like, she's awesome. She's lovely. She's the same as one of those people who knock on my door, have you found God kind of thing. And I don't get that from her because we're not discussing religion when we're at work. Until we got to know each other, then we were. So how would you know? And I'm going somewhere with this because I recently saw a post on YouTube that made me incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. And we'll get to that. And it was what sparked the idea of having this conversation from my video yesterday, the thing I was thinking about. So I'm going to have another sip of tea and then I'm going to tell a couple of stories. More stories. Okay. So where I grew up, there was this church that was built. And I don't know when it was. It was probably like the 80s, maybe in the 90s. Anyway, this church was built on a pretty busy corner, right? And I have never seen anything like this before. It was all white, pure white. And there were lights and this big fountain. It was stunning. It was beautiful. And every time I drive by, for years and years and years, when I lived, it was in Brampton, Ontario, when I lived there. And I was like, I would just like to go in there just to see like the architecture, right? Just to see what it was. And it was a Church of the Latter-day Saints. And of course, there's a big sign on the lawn and everything saying what denomination the structure belonged to. And I didn't know anything about the Latter-day Saints. And I still really don't. Not really. Well, until recently, sort of. We'll get there. So I just remember thinking, God, I'd really love to go in there, right? I never did, but, we're fast forward now to today. And I think it was about a week to 2 weeks ago, I was watching a video on YouTube, and I'm going to give a little plug for this channel. The channel on YouTube is called Cinema Therapy, and it's so much fun. These guys are so funny. Like they're quirky and they're fun. And Alan cries during almost every episode, which I love. They actually hashtag crying with Alan. And these two guys, they're besties who they go through different movies. They're movie buffs. The one guy, Jonathan, is a therapist, and the other guy, Alan, is actually he's a filmmaker. So they'll talk about the characters in the film and everything from both perspectives, and they're both movie buffs. And it's just an interesting gel of the two occupations and how they break down movies together. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So recently they had done, they did this one episode, and I'm watching this with the two filmmakers who did this film, and I cannot remember the name of it. I'll try to remember to put it in the description box below. It's one I think came out recently, and Hugh Grant was in it. It's like a thriller, I think. Hugh Grant's in it, and it's, I think, two young women from Church of the and I think it's Latter-day Saints. I hope I got this right, because I'm going to be embarrassed if I didn't. No, I won't be that embarrassed. Anyway, go to his door. They end up in the house, and then like he captures them, and he's captured other people. Sorry, spoiler alert. Anyway, creepy stuff. But the guys started talking about the fact that this was the religion that they followed. This was actually their religion. They never speak religion, politics, nothing like that. Like every now and then there might be a comment about God or something like that, which, I mean, a lot of people do that on their channels. Still doesn't give away any details, right? And so they kind of came out saying, we both are members of this faith. And so I thought that was interesting. So then they were, of course, they definitely had a really good, even better take on the film itself, because it was part of their faith, right? Portraying sort of how some of their faith worked, which I found quite fascinating too. So here's the thing. Was a great video and everything. And I don't know if it was the next day or a couple days later, I saw, I guess it was on the community tab, that Jonathan had posted some script, put up a post talking about that particular video, and the fact that there were some people who kind of were quite upset about that they followed this religion, they were part of this religion, and unsubscribed and don't want anything to do with them anymore. I was like, what? Their religion has nothing to do with the content they're producing, except in this one, because it literally referred to what they practice. And I thought, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? These guys are lovely. They're funny. And how could you just all of a sudden go, oh, you follow that religion, that's it, I'm not going to watch you anymore? I don't understand that. And I know that we live in a world where there's a lot of hatred and violence and war and all of that stuff that revolves around religion. I get that. I'm not naive, right? I'm not naive. I don't have to like it and I don't have to listen to it, but I know it's there, right? Oh, this tea is so good. So I think that there is a lot of that. Okay, let me back up. Most of that we will see on television, we'll see on the news, we'll see on social media, which there's an awareness and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're not living in it, I think it's really good to not put so many biases and prejudices on something you don't know much about or anything about. Like, I remember after 9/11, when the Twin Towers went down, right? The few years after that, I don't know how the Muslim community survived in places like the USA, Canada, where I am, right? And like, it's just, I can't imagine some of that kind of hate, backlash, or like talk to the hand kind of treatment that these poor people might have gone through. And I didn't see that myself, but I remember, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I remember years and years after 9/11, like we're talking like 10 years after 9/11 kind of thing, working with quite a few Muslim people. The company I was working with at the time, so we're saying like 5 to 10 years, right, post 9/11, I worked with a number of Muslim people, and they were lovely. They were wonderful. They were beautiful people, right? If you're, I know you're probably not watching, but she was so sweet. She was just a doll. She was amazing. And her and another one of our coworkers, Nabil, also awesome guy. They, you'd see them get up and they'd go for prayers and everything. And I remember thinking, what did those poor people go through, in what was it, 2001, I think, was it, when 9/11 happened? I knew it was a couple of years after I got married, but I just remember thinking back to that, which might sound really strange, but it's true. I just remember thinking back going, oh my God, what did you guys go through? What did you go through? People like sideways glances, giving you the evil eye or stink eye, right? And I'm sure not everyone did. I'm not saying that, but I bet they got some of that. And it's like, you know what? Every religion, just about, I'm sure, every religion has gone through some phase, some period where they've done not nice things to other people, or treated other people not so nice because of their religion. Hello, Catholicism. Like, oh my God, you could write volumes of books on that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, what is it? What's that saying? One rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. No, you can't paint everyone with the same brush, right? Just because they practice the same religion. Do you know what I mean? I hope this dialogue is making sense. I really do, because there's so much in here and so much deeper I could go, but I don't want to. Like, this is a lighthearted channel. And so what's the point of me kind of going through this? I think it's just to kind of say, be open, be curious, right? Don't jump quickly to judge someone who's different from you. You know, you might be passing up an opportunity to have yourself a really, really good friend. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. Well, I hope that's a lot more people too. But is there anywhere else I want to go with this? I think that's enough. We're at 20 minutes already. I'm chatty today because the videos have been short lately, have they not? That's right. All right, I'm going to finish up my tea. So I'm so glad you watched. Tell me, what do you think? Have you ever been kind of, you know, given that sideways glance when people find out what religion you practice? Or have you done it to people? And, you know, I'm sure I've done it in the past, probably in younger years, going, oh, that's so weird, right? Because you're young and dumb and you don't know any better. Or have you always had an interest or curiosity about other religions too? Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your experiences. What do you think? Now that you know what I think. All right, I'm leaving it there. So day 16 is done. We'll see you tomorrow for day 17. Bye.